table this, then you're willing to find us somebody different than these people to?
We said we wanted some questions answered. This is a pretty large ticket, and I believe last time this was done, we ended up paying out more than the approved amount because bills kept coming in after the fact. I'm also curious about what time frame these prints are from.
100 years ago.
Yeah, some of them are
They're, I
pretty
mean,
old.
really, really old. Obviously, there's up-to-date ones, but for the most part, there's some
Way back.
way back, and without any addresses or names on the outside of them.
It should have been categorized when they were put in there, but that didn't happen,
But,
so.
well, that was.
Hindsight
I mean,
and foresight.
Years ago, if you go and
Yeah.
look at them.
Well, I think that there would need to be some specifications on doing this, because obviously physical prints do have a place. And if some of them are 100 years old, that's one thing.
Well,
But,
that may be an exaggeration.
okay, well,
But
exaggeration or not. If you have some that are from that far back, that's a different animal than some that were last year. So we need to actually have some criteria for that, based on previous experience with this. I think it's dangerous to just carte blanche say, yeah, go ahead and do it because of what happened the last time. So I would make a motion to table for more information. Did you actually make it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, all right,
you
second.
turned into the second.
Okay.
We roll call on that?
Yep.
Class,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Davidson,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
DeShano.
Yes.
So, this more information is going to be collected by who?
Well, I think first and foremost, we need to determine exactly what is going to be included in this. And there needs to be some criteria for what is going
So
to
are
be
you willing
held
to set the
physically.
criteria and bring it back to the next board meeting, what the criteria should be for us to vote on?
Well, I'd need some help with that. I don't even have access to anything.
Can I make a suggestion? That you get your, whenever your building inspector and your fire inspector, and take a look at these blueprints, because I happen to know there's a lot of residential blueprints in there, and I don't know if they necessarily need to be digitized or even kept. And I would go with those two people, and do we need these? Figure that out, and maybe drop that amount down quite a bit. Because we're in the bad habit of saving everything forever, and we all do it, so.
Yep.
And there are records retention requirements, but they're not
All right.
forever for everything, just.
I have 75 years worth of stuff in there. Do I need to keep it all? Probably not, but there are deals that,
So I would make another motion then, that once the building inspector is appointed, him and the fire inspector would go through the blueprints and determine what needs to be kept and what we can throw out. We'll give him, I'm not sure there's any rules on the length of blueprints that we have to keep. We'll have to look up the length of blueprints, how long we have to keep them. But I make a motion that we let them look through them and tell us which ones we have to keep and which ones we have. And maybe while they're looking through them,
Take them.
they can tag them and put addresses on them, and we can put them up there properly, and then we don't need them digitized.
True. We're gonna have to come up with a good way, because it's just, we have to toss them up because we can't reach, so it's not a good way. I mean, how do you?
Maybe
wrap
it is
it?
Well, we can get you a step ladder.
Thanks.
Right.
Yeah, I already did
Okay,
that.
Sam, you got, we need a second.
Second.
Don't all second at first, not at once. Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay. Now we got a cemetery tree. We had a gentleman that, to make a long story short, we had a tree that was split and we had it cut down by a reputable firm. And the guy that was cutting it down said, if you find somebody to take the wood, I'll give it to you for a cheaper price. So it was in the cemetery, and as most of you know, there's a gentleman behind the cemetery, or behind the North Point, that sells wood. So because it's a quarter mile up the road, I said, when we cut this tree down, would you be interested in the wood? Because it was split, it was dead, and he said, sure, I'll come and get it. And I said, what lengths do you want it cut in? And he said, 10-foot lengths, and he'll go get it. I said, okay, when this tree comes down, I will tell you and you can go get it. So when the gentleman cut the tree down, he cut it in 10-foot lengths. I went to the guy behind the North Point and told him it was done and that he could go get it, and then I would watch for when he got done with it. Then Sokoviak wanted to come in and blacktop the road in section F of the cemetery. Well, apparently, in his infinite wisdom, he ran across the tree that he thought was leaning a little too much, and I say it was probably about a 3-foot tree. I don't know. It was a pretty good sized tree.
100 years old.
And he decided he needed to cut that down and take it home too. So he cut that tree down, left the branches, almost got stuck with his tractor, not on a grave, thank God. And then we learned about the tree through one of the. Well, you went out there, I guess, first, because I didn't get out there yet to see if the tree was gone that he was supposed to take to tell Sokoviak, but you was out there.
Well, Jane, I was out there. They had the tree all cut down and cleaned up in section F. 26, the guy could have went and picked it up. Didn't. So, but he decided to cut down a tree on the 30th at 7:30 at night. But he did an excellent job because he had it finished by 9:15 at night. And he took
The
down.
reason why we know this is we have a camera on the chapel pointed right at the tree he cut down.
So I went over there on,
On Thursday to look at the camera, and then you had a little trouble getting the film.
So I met them on the 5th there and spent 4.5 hours figuring out, going through tape, see him come in with his truck, see him unload a tractor, see him cut down a tree, and he was very well. He took all the debris and parked it in the center of the cemetery because he didn't have the ability to chip it, and left all the other debris in the park section of the cemetery. He did a really good job not taking out monuments because that was not what he wanted. That's what he had the tractor for. Pull the tree out of the way. You can actually watch him pull the tree down, cut the tree into long sections, and then load him in his truck and drive off like absolutely nothing happened.
So I have checked with our attorney, and in the meantime, the sheriff come out to the cemetery, and they wrote up a report. So we have a complaint report that has been filed with the sheriff. And I've checked with our attorney, and we have 3 options. 1, obviously, to do nothing. 2, to give it to the prosecutor, who we pretty much know from past experience isn't going to do anything. Or we could, what is it, civil court?
Yeah, you can file suit for having taken your tree. There's a
Yeah,
statute
for
which allows you to
taking the
get,
tree.
there's a statute which allows you to get treble damages 3 times the value of the tree.
So now the sheriff has spoken to this gentleman, because obviously on the tape they knew exactly who it was.
I told him where to go.
Yeah, and they went over and spoke to this gentleman. So I feel it's, to put this thing to rest, we, the board, have to make a decision so we can call the sheriff and say, this is what we say we're going to do, and in my opinion, this guy is half handicapped. How he does this wood cutting and chipping and splitting, I've never seen him have a partner with him. I have no idea. I don't think if the prosecutor gave him a bill or a jail time, maybe, I don't know what she would give him if she ever looked at it. And I really can't see us figuring out how much 4 or 5 times that tree was worth to us. Because if it was leaning, even though it was right by the driveway and I drive in there 3 times a week and never noticed it leaning towards the cemetery, towards the
Solid.
monuments,
Straight up and down.
I would recommend that we vote to do nothing. With the future that if he would happen to go in there and decide to cut more trees down, that we probably just have him arrested at that time. So that's my opinion.
Has anybody seen the police report? Is the police report even done yet?
No, the police report is waiting for the desk sergeant to go with a yay or nay, and I think that in light of everything, I think it should just be left and see what the desk sergeant says and go from there. Because, you know, it's really quite simple. Flash drives don't lie. I have one, the sheriff's department has one, that has every one of the videos of what happened there. And if the prosecutors, if they believe the crime was committed and somebody should be held accountable, then,
Well, it's obvious the crime was committed, the tree is gone.
well,
And
that doesn't mean anything.
I
Could've
don't
been
want the tree
driving-
back because I'm not gonna glue it back together and stand it up there.
Well, it's also a 100-year-old oak tree. There is definitely value in an oak tree that is that large. And this is actually larceny, right? I mean, it's theft. So I think that it would be premature for us to make a final decision right now. I think we need to see what the police report actually says, what their investigation has found in the police report, and then make that decision. We don't have a statute of limitations where we have to make a decision tonight. We can collect further information first.
So the question is, once the police report is done, if he hands it to the prosecutor, can we still change what happens?
You can sue regardless of what the prosecutor does.
I know we can sue, but can we stop it? Can we say we're not going to do any, we're not gonna pursue it?
Yeah, you could decide not to cooperate, but it'd be unusual, I think. Whether or not the prosecutor decides to prosecute depends upon if this guy talks to the deputies or investigating officer and what he tells them in terms of, did he think he had permission, whatever else. The prosecutor's office has got to decide, can they prove this beyond a reasonable doubt that it was a crime committed? Obviously, he took the tree. The question is, was there intent to commit a crime?
Well, he is,
That's their
according
call.
to the sheriff, because I talked to the sheriff the night I talked to the sheriff that was there after he talked to this gentleman, and this gentleman told him that I told him they could have the tree. Well, I did not tell him they could have the tree. I stopped in and told him that the tree on the north end of section F was down. He knew what tree it was. He knew it was laying there in 10-foot pieces. It was not standing in the air for him to cut. Well, and he took that one, so he knew.
He knew where section F was,
He
he
knew,
parked his
yeah.
trailer in it.
Yeah. So,
I would make a motion to table a decision on this until we see the full police report.
I've tried on 2 occasions to get a report. I was told that Harris has been extremely busy, but that the shift sergeant would go over it and then go from there.
but my question is if they hand it to the prosecutor and we still choose not to pursue it, of course, again, I've heard some bad rumors about stuff sitting around that she don't prosecute, but
Yeah.
I-
Auburn Corn Fest.
Well, I think it's good to wait for the police report, so I think I would second that, because you know what? It seems like my time is free, but it's not. Okay? I'm the one that sat there, I'm the one that went through the tapes, because we wanted to figure it out, and I talked to everybody about it. So on first 4 emails that went to everybody, nobody responded. Then, on Thursday, after trying to get into the video, and found that nobody knew how to, so at that point, getting a hold of the solution, and now we can get into the system. So I invested that day, another couple hours, and then 4.5, I did not get paid for that.
So
And
that's
so-
your second?
My second would be let's get the police report. I've already tried to get it a couple times to see, and we go from there.
Okay. And I appreciate all the time you put into it, but that was time that you did volunteer to do that. So, I mean, I would have done it as well if you hadn't.
Nobody
Second-
even knew they were taken down.
Second, shouldn't have been discussed with the whole board before we called the police.
I made the comment on Thursday when I said I was going there on Monday to meet with Solution in Sam's office. And I said, if I can find who took that tree, I was calling the sheriff. So that was already on the table on Thursday. There was no stop. But I was told on Thursdays, I have no idea who took that tree. So since we have no idea who took the tree, I'm sorry.
But the question that she's asking is.
Should the board have voted to call the police?
Well,
The board couldn't even answer an email or pick up a phone and call me. And as an elected official of the township,
I just find it, I mean, it seems like anything that happens, we're calling the police. Instead of like talking to the individual and saying, hey, you know, you can't do that, or trying to work it out first, we always call the police. You guys are so quick to jump to just call the police and press charges.
I resent that comment because that's not, I mean, I'm sorry, if somebody came on any of the people sitting here's property and they took your oak tree out of the middle of your front yard, what would you do? Would you go talk to them, or would you, because first off, you don't know who's holding a gun. Second off, that's not my job.
Well, it's not your job.
Not my job to go and assume that this guy did. Just because, yes, you're right.
Nobody did assume that the guy did. We knew the guy did because we had the camera. Nobody assumed it.
Personally, I didn't know who this dude was,
I don't either.
okay?
honestly.
You're the one
So-
that said you just told the cops, so you must have known his picture.
Well, once I pulled this, I've never met the guy before. And I have never revealed any names or anything locations-wise for the simplest of facts. You know, I didn't publish what, who, or when. You're not guilty until if somebody says you're guilty.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Let's move on, let's vote. We'll do a roll call.
Can you read the motion? I just want to make sure we're voting on the right motion.
Motion made by Lori and Charlie to table this until we get the police report.
The tree in the cemetery.
The tree in the cemetery.
By the west gate. There's a difference, because our minutes said the tree in the section F could be removed, not
By the
the
west,
gate.
west gate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or the chapel, by the chapel, or whatever you want to say.
Well, it was on the, technically, the west corner of the park.
Okay, Cruz.
Yes.
Yes. Davidson.
No,
Campbell.
Yes.
DeShano.
Yes.
Class.
No.
all right, moving on. We added the signing of the title to the, of the fire truck. So, whether you have the clerk sign it and I notarize it, or you have me sign it and the clerk notarizes it, would be us. One of it, we're both notaries, and I'm sure the title needs to be notarized when it's signed.
Yeah, there's instructions on exactly what they want to do.
Just to follow the instructions on the title.
Well, I know,
No,
but
they
you
they sent
gotta,
us, the company that's buying the truck sent
Right.
us instructions of what they want.
you gotta tell, I
I'll
mean,
follow
most-
their instructions. I mean, I signed the last one, but it doesn't matter, but you guys really own it, so.
you just gotta, in the motion, say who's signing it, and then the other guy will notarize it.
We'll get Shane to sign it, and her to notarize it,
Whatever they want to do, just gotta be
and,
something.
or
It's
her
their
to
truck.
sign it.
I mean, I make a motion that the supervisor sign the title on the truck being sold.
I'll second it.
We'll do a roll call on that too. We love them roll call votes.
We love
I had a roll, but I'm still there, so. Davidson.
Yes,
Campbell.
Yes.
DeShano.
Yes.
Class.
Yes.
And Cruz.
Yes.
So the thing we didn't add to this, we got one more thing, is during the bills, we have to decide on the cyber whether we're gonna go with 1 year or 3 years.
At a savings of almost $200, I would suggest that we would go with the 3-year and let the insurance company know that we paid for the cyber protection.
6 is 18, yeah, it'd be almost $300, so it'd be $100 a year savings. So we're going to, the motion is for this Hayden bill for cyber protection.
Security,
Cybersecurity,
software,
software security.
no, cybersecurity software.
Oh, cyber security software.
I think you have a copy of this in
So that's to go with the
your
3-year.
3-year. I'll second it.
Who made it?
Charlie
I
Who
made
made
it,
the
Chip
motion?
Charlie.
I'm sorry. Who divided it? Okay, Campbell,
Yes.
DeShano,
Yes.
Class,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Davison.
Yes. So the only thing left is obviously we ended up with two police reports. One's from June, I didn't write it, but this last one's from July on here that we got before this meeting. We had 10 break and enterings, 14 follow-up calls, 19 reckless driving, 10 sick persons, and 44 traffic stops in June. July was a little bit better, but it must be the heat because they did 20, well, they call it check well-being. I think it's called well-being check, but whatever. And 14 reckless drivings, 11 sick persons calls,
7.
70 traffic stops in July.
2 stops a day.
We got that guy over on Old Cow Holland
100
on
miles
the
over.
motorcycle. Yeah.
Doing the
Miles
job.
over. I'm not sure how they snagged him, but I hope they have a due.
Not sure which stretch he was on there.
I know,
It's
I
like
don't
40. I mean,
know.
how does that
Oh.
even work?
It would have took more than that length for me to get my truck up that fast.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe
all
they're really
right,
good with the old
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Drifting.
It is 8:59.
We go. Have a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Free go, Bill.
Go.
Yeah. What's up, B?